Okay. Beta. I'm gonna show y'all boys where I'm from, man. I'm from that.
Alright, man. What it do? Still with the camp. Shout like a lamb. Big boss house. Boss dog. K-pop through the door. Here to talk this boxing. Before I get my soliloquy. Remember, tough times don't last. Good people do. Don't off yourself. Caught him in the hotline, maybe matter. Peak game. Made the folks with one. Keith Thurman was interviewed on Mill City Boxing. Shout out to Mill City Boxing. You know, boss support anybody on this boxing YouTube. It's not easy making content. You know, regardless of what it is, whether you just a pro, you know, super fan of one fighter, or you support boxing, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's not easy making content. We just gonna keep it 1,000. But Keith Thurman was interviewed, and he was asked about Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford fight, right? And he basically was asked, do you like the fight? And he had a kind of unique way of answering the question. He said, you know, he feel like it's pretty good for the sport, which I disagree with, but he says that it's kind of like a Jake Paul show with real boxers. My question to that is, if it's like a Jake Paul boxing event with real boxers, how is it benefiting boxing? To take a guy who fought at 154 one time, won a belt, and now he's gonna move up 2 weight classes, ain't with no tune-up, and going straight to fight Canelo Alvarez. How does that benefit boxing? I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Those who've been following my channel know my stance on that fight. I ain't really been talking about it. Y'all know me. Notice, I ain't really made no content. I'm not gonna say none, but I ain't really been talking about it like that. I haven't. Because I told y'all I'm not watching that much. Y'all thought I was playing. I'm not watching that fight. I don't feel like it's good for boxing. Right? So I that's why I think Keith Thurman kind of contradicted himself, in my opinion. Right? How is this fight good for boxing? How does it make boxing better when there are better matchups for both guys that people want to see them in? Right? Nobody asked for this fight. Right? This was a fight that Turk won. This wasn't a fight that the fans wanted to see. Right? So I don't think this fight is good for boxing. You know what I mean? David Benavidez versus Canelo is good for boxing. Terence Crawford versus anybody at 154 is good for boxing. Now let me harp on the Terence Crawford aspect for a second, because a lot of y'all buddies, I was about to, I had to catch myself. I told y'all I felt I got convicted by God, so I'm trying to watch what I say, because I really finna go left, but I stopped. I paused myself. All boss want is this, okay? And I feel like this makes sense. Terence Crawford has all the accolades already. He's 2-time undisputed, right? At 147, he had all knockouts, which a lot of people thought was suspicious, but whatever, right? He's 2-time undisputed. And so the one thing that he gets upset about is when people start talking about his resume. He gets very upset. You know what I mean? He gets angry. Very rage mad, right? So one thing he can do to fix that is just fight fights that's gonna bolster up his resume. He's already a Hall of Fame fighter, right? First ballot. Bolster up your resume. Go fight Baccarat Murderzawa. Go fight Sebastian Fundora. Go fight. 54 is a division that's popping. And truthfully, you have one guy in your corner that can pay you whatever you want for these fights. And that's Turk. So there's no excuse. You know? I'm just being real, bro. Like, we have to be honest. We can't sit here, bro, and ignore this. He can get whatever fight he wants. I mean, or whatever, I'm going to say a fight. Whatever pay he wants for said fight. Because Turkey Al-Sheikh told him, you're my favorite fighter. I was finna do the voice. I was finna do it, but I've been working on myself, man. I've been working, right? So all I'm saying at the end of the day, it's like, bro, you have no reason not to just bolster up your resume this second half of your career. You trying to rely on one name to say, oh, I fought Canelo. That's still not going to solidify your resume. That's still not going to, you know what I'm saying? Because then they're going to look at your stuff and be like, you only got 2 names on there. You got Errol Spence and Canelo. And then, but then, like I told you, they look at when you fighting these dudes. I'm just being real. When they look at this, they're going to be like, okay, you fought Errol. Some people, not boss, I've given Terence Crawford credit for beating Errol, but some people are like, man, you fought him, Errol Spence, coming off the accident. He wasn't the same. A lot of people saying that. You ain't never heard me say that. You know what I'm saying? I gave him his credit. I said he beat Errol. But at the end of the day, a lot of people feel that way, right? So, now what? You fighting a Canelo, who people are saying, yeah, he the best at his weight class, but at the same time, he's not the same Canelo. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely on the decline. You got people saying that. So why fight that fight? Now, if you just want to challenge yourself, go fight a dude that's mauling everybody. David Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol, Arthur Beterbiev, those fights. You know what I'm saying? You can fight those fights. Or you really want to push yourself, go challenge Usyk. You know what I'm saying? Fight him at a catch weight. You know what I mean? Like, those are fights where if you really want to challenge yourself, you can go fight those guys. They not on the decline. You feel what I'm saying? Canelo Alvarez is not fighting, has not fought real competition in his last couple of fights. We just being truthful. Right? So when you analyze everything, when it comes down to it, it's like this. Terence Crawford really has, all he got to do is just bolster up his resume. That's it. But Terence Crawford is a fighter that uses belts to solidify his claim as being the best. I got this belt. I got this belt. I got this belt. I got this belt. I was undisputed. I got this. So he uses belts as like, oh, this was what makes me the best. Right? Because he feels like that's what it should be like. But the problem is that you got some guys that got belts that shouldn't have been champions. They use boxing politics as a way for them to basically get a belt. Right? Whether it was they got put in a certain matchup. I mean, Top Rank do it all the time. They'll match their fighter up against a guy who's a D-level fighter. They fight a C-level fighter. They fight the dude, they beat him, they become a champion. They do it all the time. You feel me? So I just think that, like, and I get it. You know, the belts are supposed to, you know, simplify, you know, basically show that you're the best. But the problem is it's inaccurate. You know what I mean? We just gonna be real. Like, you can get a belt using boxing politics. Using boxing politics, you get put in position to get a title. You get a title, and then what? But I think that, you know, this fight right here is like some video game stuff. It's a video game Jake Paul kind of matchup. And you're going to see a lot of that from Turkey as long as he's in the sport of boxing. As long as he's in the sport of boxing, you're going to see a lot of matchups like this. You're going to see matchups to where, you know, Turkey is like, oh, Shakur Steve said, go fight Conor Ben. right? It's not going to be any traditional matchups to where it makes sense, where there's a backstory. There's not even a backstory when it comes to this fight. He just like fight, right? At least Errol Spence or Terence Crawford, there was a backstory, right? There was they've been linked to each other for a while. There's a backstory. Errol Spence, Sean Porter backstory. If Errol Spence change his mind and fight Keith Thurman, there's gonna be a backstory to it, right? You know what I'm saying? There's no backstory to Canelo and Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford just went to Turk and was like, I want a big fight. Turk said, I could get you Canelo. Cool, I want that fight. Just like Turk is promising Hamza Shiraz a Canelo fight. So, how are you gonna get a Canelo fight when... That was weird. How you gonna promise him a Canelo fight when you don't know if Canelo gonna beat Terence Crawford? You know what I mean? That's what I be saying about this pre-planned stuff. Oh, I'm gonna promise you a Canelo fight. So what if Canelo get in there and lose against Terence Crawford? Is Terence Crawford gonna fight Hamza Shiraz? I highly doubt that. You feel me? Like, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that Terence Crawford gonna be like, you know what, Hamza, I'ma fight you, bro, because, I'm a real one. And, he's not doing that, bro. You feel me? He's not doing that. It's not happening. It ain't going down. None of that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And we just being truthful. I think this fight shouldn't have been made. Right? It shouldn't have been made, bro. It shouldn't have been a fight that should have happened. And I got a couple of buddies sitting there saying, oh, when Errol Spence linked to Terence Crawford, you would have felt differently. No. I want fights that make sense. Errol Spence versus Canelo doesn't make sense. Now, when they talked about it, like I told y'all, from a money perspective, I was like, look, Errol Spence generates a lot of revenue. Canelo generates a lot of revenue. It would have been a good revenue fight for both of the guys, right? Because Errol Spence from Texas, Canelo from Mexico. There's a lot of Hispanics in Texas, right? And Texas basically was Mexico back in the day. But at the end of the day, it's like when you look at this fight, it's like these two, that fight, it's like it don't make sense. Just like Terence Crawford, Canelo, don't make sense. Canelo, Jermell Charlo, that was different because they were at the same weight class at one point. But I told you weight classes matter, right? And Canelo was very strategic too. He waited, got to a bigger weight class, right? And then look back and say, yeah, Jermell Charlo, what's up? Now he trying to fight Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo was linked to Canelo at 160. Canelo wouldn't fight him. Right? Canelo know when to fight guys and when not to fight guys. That's real talk. That's why he ain't fought Demetrius Andrade yet. Right? Because Canelo know those are dangerous fights for him. You know what Charlo's a big, strong guy. They got a strong jab and it's fundamentally sound. I feel like out of all the Charlos, out of the two Charlos, he's the best out of the two Charlos. Because, see, you got Jermell Charlo that got the accolades, right? Jermell Charlo got the accolades, but Jermall Charlo, God forgive me, I'm sorry. Hey man, 2025, these boys weird. All I'm saying at the end of the day, it's weirdos. All I'm saying at the end of the day is, I think that This fight don't make sense. I keep saying it. Keith Thurman basically just said it. He kind of contradicted himself, in my opinion, but I just don't see the relevancy in this fight. And I'm going to keep saying it. You know, they trying to make it make sense. Moving Terence Crawford, #1, WBO 168. They trying to do all this stuff. They trying. It still don't make sense. I don't care how much you try, cry. It don't matter. It don't make sense. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Boss gone.